I became a real estate agent because I had like no clue what to do with my life. And I think that's why most people become realtors. Just joking. I managed a hotel in Japan. I managed 2 hotels in Wisconsin. And then I moved out to Hawaii. And on my first day at my brand new job, they called me up and they said, don't come into work today. You're laid off because of COVID. I didn't qualify for unemployment or anything like that. So in that moment, I became an entrepreneur.
Hey, Ramblers. Before we start today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest episodes, interviews, and all things startup. This episode, like every episode before it and after it, is brought to you in part by OffSource, your affordable one-stop solution for outsourcing all of your office work. If you or your team are constantly waitlisting important tasks for any reason, you're doing your company a disservice. Get the support you need by outsourcing to OffSource tasks like HR support, admin, bookkeeping, social media, graphic design, web design, and so much more. You can go to the link in the description and visit offsource.tech. And also, the Maxer community. Entrepreneurship can be difficult at times. Just because you run your own business doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Alex Hitt wants to invite you to join the online community of entrepreneurs, the Maxer community. Alex's community is a place where you can find support, guidance, and the resources you need to grow your business and overcome the challenges of entrepreneurship. In this community, Alex shares his own experiences, offers expert advice, and hosts live Q&A sessions to directly address your concerns, along with weekly networking events. Whether you're just starting out or looking to scale your business, you'll find valuable insights in a network of like-minded individuals committed to helping each other succeed. The best part is, it's free to join. Just go to alexhitt.com, ALEXHITT.com, to attend the next online community event or to join the community for free along with the free community app. This is The Ramblings. Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Ramblings. I am your host, Angelo Roberts. I have today with us Alex Hitt. He is a digital entrepreneur, digital nomad, runs a bunch of online networking and events, masterminds. Great friend of mine now. I think we're going to be, I can say friend, I guess at this point. We're going to start cultivating a pretty good relationship and partnership. So introduce yourself. How you doing today, Alex?
Hey, Angelo. I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. Excited to have the conversation today.
Absolutely. We always like to start. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the rundown. Digital nomad. Is there a particular one moneymaker thing that you have? Like, what's your organization? What do you have going on right now?
I've been through a lot of different business models and, tried a bunch of different things online. My kind of story was I was a hotel manager. I managed a hotel in Japan. I managed 2 hotels in Wisconsin, and then I moved out to Hawaii. And on my first day at my brand new job, they called me up and they said, don't come into work today. You're laid off because of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't qualify for unemployment or anything like that. So in that moment, I became an entrepreneur and wasn't expected. And yeah, I just started out. I knew nothing about online business. I was like that kind of lackadaisical hotel manager, kind of like the cool boss guy.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID changed everything for me. It was a big wake up. And I had to become like a, entrepreneur online essentially, because that was, really the only thing available. What was your COVID experience? I mean, you were doing this before COVID, weren't you? Or
I technically started this like right before COVID. So 2019, I launched the January 1st, 2020, but technically I was doing a lot of building, testing, getting the word out in 2019.
But you were well positioned.
Yeah. So I was very well positioned. That was my thing was, okay, before the pandemic, I was like, I have to learn how to get people to think someone can work, but not from the office. Like, yes, there's freelancers, but how can I get people to understand the back office? Like, you don't need that front desk person usually. Then COVID happened and then everyone had to go home. And I was like, oh, well, that's one less thing I have to worry. That's one less thing I have to worry about. Yeah. So it was a pretty good, it was like a silver lining for me. Yeah. Hotel management though, that's a little bit different than digital nomad. However, being a hotel manager at different locations definitely gives you that experience to be able to travel. So how do you transition from being a corporate person, if you will, to the entrepreneur digital nomad life?
Well, at these hotels I worked at, I did, understand some things about social media. Like at the hotel I worked at in Japan, I posted stuff on social media. It never really turned into anything. And then for the other 2 hotels in America that I worked at, I did some things on social media. I grew up with social media. I was like, some of the first people on Facebook and Instagram. But I don't know if this happened to you. Like when I was like kind of going into college, I was like, I don't like social media anymore. I like deleted all my friends. I like closed all of my accounts. And I was just like, I'm not going to do that. I don't know
I
why,
can't,
but I just,
so I like the idea of social. I mean, I'm not like, I think I'm more social media than what I actually am in terms of like posting. I miss
mhm,
when Instagram and Facebook was like sharing like what you're doing on the day to day. It wasn't like this
right.
it's like either you're a content creator or you're not. I like the idea of like, hey, I'm just sharing and interacting with the people about the idea that I had.
And that's so funny. Like back in the day, like when we were first on Facebook, like you'd have that person who would just post every day on Facebook.
Right.
And they weren't even making money. Like the idea of an influencer and affiliate marketing and
It
all this
didn't
stuff just
exist.
wasn't,
It did not
it didn't
exist.
exist. Right. And so people would be like, oh, I posted 100 of my weekend photos onto Facebook. Right. And, I think about that. Like if I just actually did that and had the foresight to just like post on Facebook every day for what,
Right.
20 years or 15, however long it's been, like, wow, where would I be now? Because
Lit-
I basically started from scratch when I was what, 27?
I think the big thing is that when we were younger, because influencer like wasn't a job, and I don't know if you were on social media at the time, but there was like a wave of like swag isn't gonna pay the bill. Like if you were young enough on social media, there was
Yeah,
like a wave of swag won't pay the bills, or if you're
right.
a real worker, if you're an Instagram model, and now those are the people getting paid. Like they
Well, that's what I discovered. So when I got laid off from my hotel job, I didn't like become a social media influencer. I became a real estate agent because I had like no clue what to do with my life. And I think that's why most people become realtors. Just joking. Um, but then I realized, wow, if I want to get clients,
Mhm.
like I got to post on social media. And I really didn't want to, but I just reached that point where I'm like, well, I can't get a normal job because no place is hiring, right? Um, I have to do something remote. I'm not like I can't code. I was like, I know how to do social media. So I got to the point where I'm just like, what the hell am I going to do? Like social media is the thing. Like if you want to build an online business, unfortunately for you, social media is like a huge part, unless you want to do paid ads. Like you
Right.
have to figure out social media. And then I just said, what the hell do I have to lose essentially by posting on social? And I gained a whole business and a whole, we can talk about that. But yeah, yeah. I agree though.
Well,
Like back in the day, it was like social media. Like the reason I kind of left was it was kind of like looked down on. Like, oh, you
yes.
post on social media, like that's low class or like that's low status to like
Even
want to keep a
now,
social
like
media.
when you do the work, like unless you're directly getting paid from a post, if you're just like, "Hey, I use this as like a marketing form," it
Uh-huh.
sometimes can generate leads and things of that nature. It feels very strange when you look back at the end of the day and you're like, "What did I accomplish?" Well, I did a lot of editing on this video that took maybe 3 hours to edit, and then I posted it, which is hopefully gonna do something. And while, yes, you worked for 3 hours, there was no payment for that. And so you feel like, or at least I do, I'm like, okay, how do I justify this as work? And so you always find yourself going back to emails or trying to just do things where you can see, like, I need to see a result, like something. So that's a lot different though, from you now doing actual social media and having all of these weekly events and being one of the most consistent events with a lot of people. Like you, not only do you have a consistent event with a lot of people, it's a lot of, I'd say, more quality people than uh, some of the other networking events I've been to. How did you get
Yeah.
to curate that?
So, one of the things that I found when I was a real estate agent in Hawaii, and I ended up selling 3 houses through social media, which was pretty
Oh,
crazy.
okay.
So I was actually a successful Hawaii real estate agent. And then I started kind of coaching other people on how to do marketing, like very, very low cost marketing. Cause at the time when I was a real estate agent, I had no money. I mean, I wasn't paycheck to paycheck. I was credit card to credit card. And I had $0 to spend on my business. I put all the money on a credit card to like get my licensing and all that stuff, buy my business cards, all on a credit card. And was able to make 3 deals, essentially through social media. So I started coaching other people online, like through LinkedIn and, messaging people and kind of the realtors and mortgage lenders that I knew. And then I got exposed to these online events. which if anybody isn't maybe familiar with these online events, there's a lot of these online business networking events is what you could call them. And essentially you go to a Zoom room with, sometimes like you say, it's 5 people. When you're at my events, it's like 100 people. But I was going to all these different online events and meeting people and connecting with people. And honestly, it's a lot of business socializing, not a lot of business being done. It's more of business socializing.
Right.
Um, and I was going to these events and I just thought, man, this could be done a better way. I was kind of like, I had my gripes with everybody else's online event. I said, oh, you should cut this out or you should do this better. They weren't very sophisticated with the technology. And I said, I could run a better group than this and I could, host a better event. And I could have it more efficient and attract more people. And so I just wanted to go out and start my own online business networking event. And I did that. And it's every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific. And we get about 100 people consistently every single week who show up to this event online. And it's really, really fast. It's 30 minutes. And yeah, I just wanted to create the call because I like online business networking. I'm a hotel manager. I really identified with that, more than the online entrepreneur. Like I like the hotel management side of things because I'm more of an introvert naturally. So I like, I like to meet a lot of people. Like every job that I've had has been a service-based job where I meet people all day long. And I really like that.
I love that. Yeah. I just was at
Yeah.
an event last night. I need to be with people. Like I just love that.
I'm not really like that. I still like to meet people, but I like big groups. So I like the position of like the hotel manager because it's meet, greet. Hey, how you doing? Where are you from? How can I help? I mean, that kind of gives me my social, my socializing for the day. And then I can go home and be the recluse and the, introvert. But I need my job to be extroverted. Otherwise, I just like wouldn't talk to anybody probably. It
Wow.
might seem strange, but
That's a strange kind of thing because now you're in that affiliate space where you've kind of hacked out where you have a community, you can
Mhm.
grow it, you already know some background in social media, and you've gone to this affiliate route. Explain to me what it is that you kind of are digging in with being a major affiliate.
Yeah. So like I said, I've done a number of different models. My first kind of online business model was a social media coach.
Mhm.
And I had a different model where I would do coaching every single day. That was my unique selling point was I would coach people for 1 hour every day, group coaching. Okay. So 1 hour every day. And I did that every day for 300 or for a year and a half,
Oh,
over 500 days. So I have done a lot of coaching.
like even
And
Saturdays and Sunday?
yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Christmas, New Year's. Yep. You can ask my students. I was there every single day. But that was my unique selling point
Okay.
was that I'm available every single day. And for a business person who's really busy, having that psychological reassurance that I'm there when they need them every day, I
Mhm.
don't know, it just did something. And the interesting thing about it too, when I was doing that, I was a realtor, but I was also driving food delivery in Hawaii, like for Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash. When I first started selling my coaching memberships, I sold them for $10.
Mm.
So,
For
so
every
people got
day?
no a month.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So people would pay me $10 a month, and they could get up to 30 hours of coaching.
Wow.
And I did that because each food delivery that I did made me about $10. So I said, if I can sell one of these memberships, that's one less food delivery I have to do a month. And I just built that $10 a month membership. And then I did $49. And then I did $100. And then I did 200. And then I did 500. And then once I started charging those like increased amounts, working with kind of more qualified business people, I realized like, wow, they don't want to learn another thing. They don't actually want to post on social media every single day.
Right.
Which I posted on social media. When I grew my TikTok channel, I have about 48,000 followers on TikTok. I posted 10 videos a day for 30 days. And then I posted more videos, after that. But I did 300 videos in a month,
Oh my
and
gosh. What
and
do you
that just like 15-second talking head TikTok videos.
like you're doing the talking? It wasn't even like a meme kind of thing or something?
No, no.
Wow.
I did 10 talking head videos every day for a month, 300 videos in a month. And in that month, I gained over 11,000 followers. It was my first video that did over 1 million views. And my account just blew up and like the rest
I'm
is
telling
history,
you
I guess.
right now, I'm gonna do that now. Like
Yeah.
10 head talking videos a month. I think if I do 4, 3, 3 of like break it up into like meme funny kind of thing, 3, 4, like 4 funnies, 3 like sales and then 3
Mhm.
how-tos, I
Mhm.
think, okay, you're
Well,
onto
no,
something here.
well, most people don't post enough on social media. Most people don't post 300 videos in a year. Most people don't post 300 videos ever, right?
Right.
They post like 7 or 20 or 100 and they think, "Oh, I didn't grow on social media, it doesn't work." It's like social
And you have
like,
to be consistent with it. Like if you've
oh
been
yeah.
doing it for 4 years and you've
Yeah.
posted, 100 videos a year, which
Yeah.
can average out to maybe a couple of videos in a month, and
Right.
you're doing that over a spaced out time, of course it's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I mean, people need to take so much more action, massive action, right? Like people's idea of what massive action is probably like 10 times higher than what they think they need to take. When I tell people I posted 300 videos in a month, they say, "That's so hard. I could never do that." It's like, first of all, you could. And each of one of my videos was, let's say, 30 seconds. Okay. So if I post 10 of those a day, what is that like 5, 6 minutes of content? Yeah, it's not that much content, actually. You know what I mean? If you're
Right.
making YouTube shorts. Um, so most people on social media, and that's like one of my biggest pieces of advice is like, you just have to go out there and throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. And once you find what sticks, then you just do that same thing again and again and again and again and again. And for me, I found what that was for me was like tech tutorials. So
Okay.
teaching people how to use like, because that was my background, social media coaching, teaching people how to create videos, edit videos, the format of them. And so I kind of found my niche there. Those were my videos that I have multiple videos with millions of views now, but um, those were the videos that really took off, were me explaining things to people, teaching people. And so then how I got into the affiliate side of things was I was coaching people, I was helping people. And then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to open up my own marketing agency to like do things for people.
Mhm.
And I still think it's a great model to have kind of your small service-based business where you're doing things for people for kind of a higher ticket price. But that too is like a hamster wheel, right? The more clients you have, the harder you work. You have to build out the team. And, my kind of epiphany when I started the online job, when I worked at a hotel,
Mhm.
you were on call 24/7. I mean, if
Oh,
the fire alarm went off at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm the manager. I have to go there and figure it out. You know what I
oh,
mean?
wow.
Like, so then I got into the online entrepreneur space and I said, wow, this is a lot better because I have control over my time. I'm not on call 24/7.
Mhm.
But I realized that's kind of like, you know the story of the entrepreneur. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go get time freedom, and then they work more than their 9 to 5, right? That was
Right.
me. And just honestly through like massive imperfect action, I was able to make a couple of really big partnership deals, which are like affiliate deals, but a partnership deal.
Mhm.
Um, that was really, really big. And it's passive income over a pretty long period of time. And that's where I said, wow, this is the switch, like guaranteed income completely passively. And now I'm kind of getting that like entrepreneurial dream of like, time freedom, financial freedom. But the caveat to that is I've been probably literally over 1,500 one-on-ones, online Zooms with people, introducing people, connecting people. I've
Mhm.
hosted online events for every week, multiple upwards to 7 different online events every single week for 2.5 years. You know what I mean? So this is the type of volume and work ethic and just like consistency. You
Right.
asked like how I get so many people at my event. I've done it every week and I've done multiple other events every week for years. And I've had thousands of one-on-ones and I've struggled financially really hardcore to make this dream work for myself. So there's a lot of sacrifice in it too. You know what I mean?
Oh, hey, that brings a whole different tone to it. So, question, weird, not necessarily weird question, but how would you define what your goals are? Like, are you trying to build a massive corporation, a big company? Because it seems like you're fine with rocking just you.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It it changes, right? Like for me, at least, it changes. Like what I've kind of wanted, and I dive into things and I take a lot of action on it, and I see it to kind of its end. And I've realized that about the agency, about coaching, about all this stuff. At some point, I just get kind of worn out with things. Like I move quite a bit. I'm a digital nomad, so to say. So like every 3 years, I have to move locations. I've lived in Japan, Colorado, Hawaii. Um, I live in Utah now, so lived in quite a few places, and I just realized about myself, like anything done to an extreme over a long period of time becomes laborious and monotonous and the same thing every day. So what I'm trying to do now is to have that kind of that entrepreneur dream of, and I in some a lot of ways have it, that financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom,
Mhm.
building that up and then being able to pursue projects that are really interesting to me. Like I'm somebody who always likes to learn and try new things and do new things and develop new things. So I don't think I've realized like I don't want that headache every day.
Mm.
I don't want that I have to do this thing every day because my interests are going to change and I might want to exit it and I might want to change directions and I might not want to do it today and I want to have that option. But I've also been, because I've been in that position, COVID really hurt, right? Of like having to wake up every day and drive food delivery for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
And that's just my life, and I've accepted that and just did it and hustled and worked through it and figured it out. But yeah. So I'm looking to do a little bit more traveling, a little bit more relaxing, but I'll probably always still be doing this online business thing and developing things. Cause I'm not a couch potato in that way of like, I'm just going to sit there and watch TV all day. I'm always trying to do something. I'm
Right.
very ambitious in that way. Right.
I always say people need to have hobbies. Like that
Right.
will to learn and want to do more is I feel that it allows for us to be able to say, oh, I now have the skill of acting. If you're someone that takes up acting or takes up farming, or if you decided to learn how to code, right? Those are all skills that you can then take and say in a bind, like if there was a pandemic or
Right.
whatever the next issue is going to be, because history repeats itself, we're bound to have something that keeps us from doing something, whether it's a pandemic, of recession, or whatever it is. You have those necessary skills to put your hustle cap on to say, okay, I can do more than just manual labor. I can do more than just Stop and Shop or Target, or because they may not even be hiring at some particular point. You have those necessary skills and you have that knowledge, and it also just makes you more well-rounded and more interesting.
What about you,
So
man? In your business, you run essentially kind of an agency model, right? And
essentially, yes.
you have that advantage of like your business is virtual assistants taking time off people's plates. So you've kind of set yourself up for, this kind
I've
of
always
passive,
wanted to do
semi-passive thing. But
online businesses because
yeah.
like I come from a family of business, right? So my dad's in real estate, my mom's in like mental health facility
Mhm.
care kind of thing.
Sure.
And so both of my parents have always been location based in regards to their business. And so from that, it was hard to think about like an internet business. Like even when you think about how companies pre-COVID existed, it was you
Mhm.
got an office, you recruit from your hometown. A company has a HQ, a headquarters. That headquarters grows, moves to a new location, but you're still based on that location, even if you're Amazon and you can do what you do from anywhere. Jeff Bezos doesn't have to be in Seattle to get work done, but he's in Seattle because that's where the corporation is. I think that, like, when I was younger, the best thing was when the internet was coming, what I can do business over the internet. How can I have my laptop and be on the beach? And for me, it was like, I want to be able to prove my dad wrong. Like, because in his mind, he knows business. Like when he was growing up, when he was my age, had a liquor store, didn't really work, had a like a fish, not market, but like a seafood restaurant or something that didn't work. And it's always been like you're there. You have to grind, you're working, working, working. But when you're on the laptop, you can be working and working without having to be in this particular. I can take this setup, necessarily that background, but go anywhere in the world that I'd like. And I've done that. I've been in Vegas and closed deals like on like West Coast, but doing East Coast business and everything. And I love to travel. Like I've been to Australia, I've been to the Bahamas, I've been to Canada. I love to just travel. And that's something that I always knew I wanted to do. And so for me, it was the internet allowed for me to fulfill my passion, basically. It was the best. Like the internet saved my life, basically. Because before this, I always said I want to deal with numbers and I want to deal with people. And essentially that was financial advisor. Thankfully, I found out what a financial advisor actually is,
Yeah.
AKA you're just really an insurance salesman. You sell financial I didn't understand that really. I just saw like the TV shows and movies, but this allowed for me to really just say, hey, I can like being a CEO, an entrepreneur allows me to deal with the money, the finances, the talking to people, but also dealing with business. And that's just what I love.
And it seems like your parents maybe didn't understand the online business. Maybe were
My
skeptical
mom, my
or
mom more so than my dad, because my mom was an entrepreneur. My dad's a business owner. My dad's a
Mhm.
businessman. He's not an entrepreneur. I guess, man, well, he did own businesses, but he's not the entrepreneur in the sense of how we think of like, oh, I'm always trying all these new different things. He's your traditional, I went
right,
get a brick and mortar business.
right.
I work like a 9 to 5. I
Yeah,
invest in my retirement fund, IRS. That's it. My
yeah.
mom was more of a creative person in that sense. So she did Avon and actually made it work.
Wow.
Took us on vacations and stuff. But that was her bit of like independent contracting
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. What
Sure.
she has now, she has a full team and everything like that. And when she was younger, like hustled, like she was like, I'm gonna do it in a creative way, kind of thing. And so it was just a little bit
Yeah.
different. And so she more so understood like the online sense, more so than my dad. Um, but even that, it still was
Yeah.
you gotta just they were about that work ethic.
Well, this is the interesting thing, like, this online entrepreneurship path wasn't even I mean, it wasn't even a thought, wasn't even I mean, the internet wasn't
No.
around when they were developing and thinking about their careers and what they're gonna do with their life. And so my parents, like, kind of when I got into this, they were kind of skeptical and like, "Are you sure that's gonna go work?" And
Right,
even,
because you
to this
had a
day, like
legit thing.
right, yeah, I was like a hotel I had, like, a legit job, I had a salary, I had benefits, I had all this stuff. And I just, I have to tell them, like, "That ain't the thing to do anymore." Like, it's not
No.
but it's hard for them to even conceptualize because it just wasn't even an option, right? And so I tell my parents now some of my successes, and they're just like, "Congratulations, I
Yeah,
guess. I
like,
don't know
it's
what
you
you're
can't
doing." Like, yeah,
process it. Okay,
yeah.
so when you told them, like, "This is exactly what you're doing, these are my wins," how do they receive it even now? Like, do they understand at all how it, like, kind of works in that sense?
Yeah, my dad, he comes from a background he was a salesperson. He worked for, he did technology sales, and he we're able to kind of talk on that level of understanding, like, partnerships and what an affiliate is and stuff like that. But even still that, like, the idea of doing this independently
Mhm.
is very and, like, on the internet and not because he
Right.
would drive all around. I mean, his life he's like a road warrior, right? He, like, drove around a lot and met a lot of
Oh,
people, shook a lot of hands and stuff like that. Um, so and for a long time, I struggled with the online business thing, right? And so they just don't understand in today's day and age, if you really wanna do something, it's usually online, right? Yeah, you
yeah.
could do the brick and mortar, that's still available, but from my perspective, it's like this online thing, you have to figure it out. If you do want that type of, like, lifestyle design, right? There's no other I mean, what other path forward? And the wins in the online space are so disproportionate, right?
Oh,
Yeah, you could have
yes.
your brick and mortar store, but there's usually a cap to that, right? The online space, it opens up so many more opportunities.
And for the big thing, oh my god, I'm doing a lot of stuttering. Like, with brick and mortars, like you said, you're limited. Online, I feel it opens it up in the sense of, oh my god, I'm blanking now. Like, how do I wanna say it? It's opening it up in the sense of, like, oh god,
It
it's
just
gonna come.
expands your market size so much, like your scope of what's possible, like the million views on social media, right? And be able to
Right.
make all of these sales or all of these affiliate sales, right? Like, how are you gonna how are you gonna get a million anything down the block from your house? You're not, maybe there's a rich guy down the street or something, but they so that's where I see
I'd
it. It's like you
relate it to,
have to do
like,
because I think
with
it's like leverage. It's like the internet, you have leverage. You have this massive tool, you have this massive audience, you have this massive channel.
easier access. That's how I'm thinking. Like, I think of it as like brick and mortar is like what big companies used to do, right? And then the
Mhm.
way entrepreneurs were able to kind of come in right before the internet was like that, not necessarily just franchise model where you're kind of taking on some of the risks as an entrepreneur, but also that independent contractor of like Avon or even like mobile hot dog stands, right? Like that hot dog stand thing, like in New
Mhm.
York, that is a
Mhm.
big business. But entrepreneurs were able to come in and say, I can't have this big store. I can have this little pop up. I don't have to invest as much money. And so I feel like the internet,
Right.
like it breaks down that another barrier of money. Now, obviously, I'm not recommending it, but you could open a pop-up shop, like pop-up kitchen from your kitchen with a website. A website becomes like that new storefront, if you will, instead of selling having like a brick and mortar dog location. You can sell out of your house. It
Right.
it
And
changes that
this
store.
too even has been like an emergence in the last, 5 or 6 years where that website is super easy to create. There's like the templated websites, right? And like
Yes.
average Joe can go out there and make his own website for free, essentially, right? Through a lot of different sites.
Hmm.
So you can even now start your online business for $0. You really just need a Stripe account, you
Exactly.
know? And so the barrier of entry for the online business is so low. And so me, who had $0 to his name, could start an online business in 2021 was when I started my online business. That's incredible. And that opportunity is brand new, essentially. So,
If you were to give advice to, because we're in our 20s, we're still young. If you were giving advice to someone who was in their early 20s, they're just starting out, they're trying to build any kind of product, maybe grow a SaaS or something like that, what would you give them? What would you tell them?
I mean, I think there's some lessons that can be learned from my story of like starting with the low ticket. What's your hourly wage? Like if you're at a 9 to 5, what's your hourly wage? Maybe you make $20 an hour. Well, if you can go online and sell a $20 product and make $20 profit, that's one less hour you have to work every single week. I know it does
Right.
this pop. You know, I would also say productize. So productizing means having something to sell
Hmm.
is really, really important and being very clear about that. People talk all the time about understanding your target audience and having your archetype and stuff like that. That's really just understanding who you're selling to so you can productize and offer, actually sell something. And so my first business was TikTok for business. I'm going to help you use TikTok for your business. And it's
Right.
$10 a month. Right. And I did the $10 because it covered the cost of that. I would also say like the massive action component is super key. Like you probably have to do so much more than you anticipate and think about. And it's mostly a mental barrier on what you think is a lot. And then the second thing I would charge more money, charge more at the beginning. Um, it's definitely fine if you really want to get out of your 9 to 5
Mhm.
to like just take whatever you get and hustle your ass off to get out of that 9 to 5. But if you're comfortable in your 9 to 5, just keep it and invest the money into growing the online business and learning and have that additional income because being in the position when you're in an online business and you need to make bills and you need to pay money and you already quit your 9 to 5, you don't, and I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a lot of the overhead that a lot of other people have. So, um, yeah, and just learn a ton and try to cash flow your online business like
There's a
ASAP.
lesson in
So
that
you can
right there.
start.
Don't get all of that extra responsibility stuff
Yeah.
without having things in place. A lot of like people get one win and try to go get a new car or
Right.
increase you increased your lifestyle because you started making just a little bit more money. I don't like
Mhm.
don't try to live below your means as much as possible.
I wouldn't be able to do this if I had, car payments and student loans and a mortgage and all that stuff. I would have to have the 9 to 5 job and be building the online business, in the evening. And then you're too exhausted, you're too exhausted and you can't even do it. So, and then I would also say really lean into the affiliate offers as much as possible. Start trying to create that residual passive income for yourself. It's probably, it's taken me 3.5 years to build an online income that can sustain me and, somewhat passively, right? Um, but I would have started with that a lot earlier. And
Okay.
I personally promote like B2B affiliate programs, so business to business,
Mhm.
like being an affiliate of software. Because if you're a software affiliate, a lot of softwares are monthly. So let's say you have an affiliate to a website platform.
Mhm.
The average person keeps their website for 7 years. That's kind of an old statistic, but you know, imagine getting paid out on an affiliate agreement for 7 years. And those are the type of opportunities that are available in the B2B affiliate marketing space, which is also brand new, so I would focus if you want to do like a B2B business, you do a B2B business, right?
Mhm.
I would, if you did have a B2B business, focus on building up those B2B affiliate offers because those can really create you a lot of passive income and the partnerships too. Forming partnerships like with Angelo, right? If I'm going to give him business, he's going to give me something back. And if I can make that residual and he's got a great business and a high retention rate, that's another way to kind of break free of this. I have to hustle every time I need to make a dollar.
Right. So, in what are you doing? I want to get technical. Like that's what I really want to get into for a bit. During when you were doing like 10 videos a day, right? You're doing 10 videos a day talking. Break down that like I want you to get as minute as possible than the details on what that looks like. Are you doing like just a quick 15 seconds you're talking, putting a caption over it and then posting it? Like, are you taking a long piece of content that you might have done, breaking it up, edits, and then post scheduling? Like, get into the day to day for an entire week of what that looks like. So if someone was like listening, they're like, hey, I can come in and I'm just going to copy and do exactly what Alex did, take these
Yeah.
videos and do that.
So it's a great question. So what I did is there is a format to social media, right? There is a formula. And if you can template it out, it's a lot easier to do than trying to come up with everything on the fly.
Mm.
And so there is a very clear template to a viral social media video. And in the most simplistic terms, it could be said as hook, story, offer, right? You hook them with some outlandish claim or a shocking statistic or a pattern disruption. So at the beginning of your video, you're saying things like, here's 5 tips on how to grow on YouTube, or here's the best way to make $1,000 online. That's a hook, right? That gets them to like curious. You're almost doubting them. And then what I usually say is you do some form of like credibility statement. So I say, here's how to make $1,000 every single week online passively. My name's Alex. I help people develop passive online income, and I have a full-time passive residual income, 6 figures, that type of thing, right? So I'm giving kind of the credibility of why I'm even qualified to speak on this kind of outlandish claim,
Hmm.
or just like kind of reassuring them that I'm not BSing them completely. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then you jump into the story, right? And they always say like, stories sell, facts smell. So trying to give a little bit of a story, right? Tell a story. Oh, here's how to make $1,000 online. I'm Alex. I'm a 6-figure affiliate. When I started affiliate marketing, I was doing it all wrong. And I'm telling a story about myself, and that gets people, interested. And then watching longer. It's not necessary. A lot of my videos are like tip based tips, tricks, hacks, and secrets. Here's how to get like this formula that I'm sharing with you is a video,
Right.
right? So, um, having that template, hook, story, offer, yeah, adding in the credibility statement or the pattern disruption. You could look at, I think it's called like the 7 stages of storytelling. I'll look it up really. Um,
You can screen share. Oh,
adding,
I don't know if I let you know. Yeah, I'm just doing different formats. So like if you want to screen
yeah.
share, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, listicles are good too. Like, listing things. Here's the 5 websites that I use every day. I use Calendly to book all of my calendar links, right? And
Mhm.
honestly, those videos, like those tips, tricks, hacks, and secrets, those are really good at building your following because people want to come back to learn about the 5 new websites or the 10 new tips, but they're not as good at converting people. And that's where you need to kind of change the content, testimonials, your personal story, diving into a little bit more of the demo or how you exactly help people. So for a long time, I just did the tips, tricks, hacks, and secrets, and that skyrocketed my following, but the conversions weren't there.
Okay.
Because if I'm just giving you tips, like that doesn't really speak necessarily to how I'm going to particularly help them or, what's the advantage of working with me versus the million other people out there who can do tips, tricks, hacks, and secrets, right?
Right.
So I didn't really inject my personality that much, but that was a lot because I was uncomfortable posting on social media and I wasn't an expert really. I was like brand new in the online business. So I was just sharing the quick wins and the quick tips that I was learning along the way. The other thing is like I would share a quote. So pick a quote that you like, say the quote. If the quote is good and has, kind of you find the quote online, people probably like it. Meaning if you just say that quote online, people probably like it too. So there's high chance of that. And then just give your commentary or relate that to your topic. Um, Another thing, this is like the biggest social media hack ever. Seriously. If you want to grow on any social media platform, here's what you do. You talk about that social media platform. Why? It's common ground. Everybody on YouTube has an interest in YouTube because they're using it.
Right.
Everybody on LinkedIn, yeah, they're on, everybody on LinkedIn has an interest in LinkedIn because they're on the platform. And you could literally grow 1 million followers just by going on LinkedIn every day or YouTube every day and saying, hey, here's how many followers I have on YouTube today. Tune in tomorrow to see how many followers I have. And like people would seriously subscribe to that. And I'm sure there's like an example of it out there, but that was another key of like, here's how to grow on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everyone's interested in that because they're on TikTok.
Right.
So that was another thing of like updating people. Hey, the 10-day challenge. So I told my following on TikTok, I'm posting 10 videos a day, every day for 30 days to see how it goes. So the challenge, giving yourself a challenge and then having that public accountability, those can be very powerful. But the challenges are good because then people are going to subscribe and want to tune into the next day to see, am I actually posting 10 videos a day?
Right. And you have to get out of your own heads, or at least I have to get out of my own head with why would someone watch? Like people watch things for various and copious amounts of reasons. Like what would make someone return about this? Just because I am not that kind of person in a way that, is apparently the way most of the masses act, because this is how people are making money, making livings I'm like, I don't think I've ever bought anything from TikTok Shop, but it's already done. The revenue proves that people have bought from TikTok Shop.
Totally, man. We get in our own way. We don't want to be repetitive. We don't want to go on social media and say the same thing every single day. That's exactly what you freaking should do. You should go out. Like, if you know anything about like big people, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, they all have one story that they tell on almost every single podcast. And it's their origin story. Tony Robbins talks about how it was Thanksgiving and they didn't have a Thanksgiving meal and a man knocked on the door and his dad almost threw the door. He tells that story all like so many times. Grant Cardone, he talks about how his dad died when he was young and his mom struggled. He talks about it on every podcast. But but some of us online entrepreneurs, we're so smart, right? We think, oh, we need to change it up every day. We need to be original. And it's such a detriment, to try to reinvent the wheel every single day and try to give the next, on social media, you have all these people who view your content. Most of them are viewing tons of content every day. They don't remember you. Even if they kind of remember you, they don't even remember what you said. If they remember what you said, they didn't internalize it. And if they did internalize it, they're definitely not taking action on it. And so you need to actually remind people multiple times before it even sinks in and they even understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? So that's a huge detriment. And that's where I've actually had a lot of success on social media, was just like, you know what? I'm going to be cringe. I'm going to do the same thing over and over again. I'm going to take, low hanging fruit. I'm going to do the thing that works. So, and then once you become good at it, then you can do your own thing. Like when a lot of people say, oh, go on social media and just like do your own thing. That's like saying, pick up a guitar and just start playing it. Don't look at other people. Don't try to play other people's music. Only play your own music. And it must come from your heart and it must be authentic. I just picked up the freaking guitar. I have no idea what I'm doing. Shouldn't I model?
That is a beautiful example. That's how people should look like.
It's called modeling. You have to model what a successful person does, and then you learn the skills of a successful person, and then you can iterate off of that. Then once you learn the song on the guitar, then you know the strings and you can start making your own music. But how are you going to start? You're not Jimi Hendrix. You're not going to freaking pick up a guitar for the first time.
That is such a genius way. Like even the great people that we look at in music, they have to learn the music first, whether it's playing by ear, learning to read sheet music, but they have to learn the actual craft first. And that is done by having a teacher, people that you imitate, people that you're following. And I've never thought of it in that sense. And I always felt like because as entrepreneurs, you do feel like you have to do things differently. I need to find a way to stick out from the crowd, because everyone on YouTube is saying you have to find your niche. You have to find how you're going to stick out from everybody else. Like what's going to separate you from the next person? How about start by knowing what you're talking about and knowing what you're doing? Start by being authentic and real and letting people know like you're a beginner. Like I am new at this. This is not going to be perfect. This is what you can expect. This is this is where the authenticity comes from, because this is my attitude, this is my composure, this is what I like to do. This is my personality, but these are the fundamentals. I'm doing the same chord, but I'm combining it differently now that I know all of the chords.
Right.
It's like speaking. You have to we as like the language website that you told me
Yeah.
about. The
Pimsleur.
Pimsleur. There we go. Shout out to Pimsleur, because you were talking about how we as kids, we don't speak for the first bit of our life. We hear all of this information. We hear all of the words. We say a word that our parents tell us to say, mama, dada, and then we start stringing other words together to create our own thoughts and sentences with our own personalities. But we had to copy and learn and mimic from somewhere.
That's right. Yeah.
That
100%.
that's a beautiful way to put it. Speaking of how we're mimicking and who we're learning from, who are the people that you say that you're learning from that you like to imitate? And let's get into some tea and gossip and say, I'm not a fan of these new gurus or I personally can't stand Alex Hormonzi, or however you pronounce
Yeah.
his last name. Him and his wife, anytime I see them on the timeline, I'm like, yo, get this out of here, because you sound crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't seem realistic. Like, I am a huge, and I used to be Grant Cardone until he got called out, and I'm starting to do some research. So I'm not, I'm solidified in who I like, but I'm able to, if I come across new information, oh, if you're a fraud, you're a fraud. But I can't take away from what does work and what has worked for some of the people that it has. So who do you follow? Who do you model and go after? And who are some of the ones that you like to stray away from?
Man, I don't really consume, it's kind of weird. I don't consume a lot of content. Kind of weirdly enough, I look up a lot of tutorials on YouTube. So like a new software that I'm interested in, I go to, look up other, or, people on YouTube who are doing tutorials on that. I
Do
don't
you
really
have someone that
follow.
you really like that you does a lot of good tutorials?
I'd have to look it up. One of the tools that I really like right now is that journalist AI, and the founder behind that company, he's really good at educating on SEO.
Mhm.
And so I've learned a lot of SEO just from that specific one. But man, I don't consume a lot of content, which is weird. But I don't like, I'm not a big fan of Hermosi, but I always respect like Grant Cardone for what he is. He is what he is, right? And Alex Hermosi for what it is. This is hard. I mean, building a business, doing all this stuff is really hard. So I respect him on that level as like somebody who performs and is able to execute
Right,
on that
execute.
level. Yeah. Yeah. So I respect that. And like how it comes out online through the social media, I give him a lot of grace because I'm online too and I'm posting content. I understand it's not always what you want and it's hard to show up authentically online. And a lot of people, I mean, that shouldn't even be the goal, to show up authentically online. Most people are not authentic with their partner. They're not authentic with their
Mm.
parents. And then
Mm.
you're asking them to go online and be authentic with the world. It's like, that's such a leap for people. Like people don't, authenticity. What world are you living in? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and a lot of people disguise authenticity too as like, well, I'm just going to say exactly what comes to my brain in the moment. And that's authentic. My raw emotions, that's authentic. That's not authentic. You know what I mean? But I'm not the authenticity expert either. I'm more of a practitioner where I'm like, what works? And let me mimic that. And let me, like, I obviously have my own personality, my own spin on things. And I think that kind of naturally comes out. Yeah. Another example is like a boxer. Like, how many times does a boxer do a jab and a hook? And, are they
Oh,
being authentic? No, they're a
right.
boxer. So if you're on social media and you're a social media influencer, what's your jab? What's your right hook? What's that consistency that you can integrate? I don't know. It's just kind of a random thought I had, but who I pay attention to is, I should look at my podcast as well. Let me look at my podcast quick. Um, I listen to a lot of digital nomad stuff, to be honest. So I listen to a lot of digital nomad stuff. I used to be into like impact, and I kind of am. I actually like Chris Doe, the future. He's good. You know Chris Doe,
Right. No,
the
I do
future.
not.
He's pretty good. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't listen to a lot. I listen to the Digital Nomad podcast and stuff like that. They have some interesting takes on online business. Kind of, because if you're in that digital nomad space, the passive income is the ideal. Because if you're traveling all over the world,
Right.
having requirements, time zones that you have to coordinate, all that stuff. So you actually find some good gems in the digital nomad kind of podcasting communities, but I don't have a particular one right now. I'm looking at like Vietnam a little bit, but I don't have a particular one that I focus on exactly.
I don't know why, but when you said Vietnam, I just finished watching. It has nothing to do with it, but I just finished watching the Napoleon movie on Apple TV, and
Oh
I
yeah,
had
do you like
thought
that?
it was good. I
Oh,
like
was
that
it?
kind of like I growing up hated history, but always was like, oh, it's easy because all I have to do is remember and regurgitate exactly what happened, right? There
Hmm.
that and math, I don't
Hmm.
have to do extra
Right.
stuff that I don't like. I'm not thinking about stuff I don't like. The only time I want to be creative is in business. But I like
Hmm.
that kind of like
Yeah.
the historical fiction of things. Like Napoleon was more, dramatization of dramatization. But even watching like Abraham Lincoln or what was the one that Apple TV also just came out with? Airman one or something where like the fighter pilots of back in the day.
Sure.
Hulu just released Shogun, which actually looks really good. I'm big into like Japanese culture and stuff like, or even just kind of Asian
Yeah.
culture. Big on anime. Love
Hmm.
watching like the samurai fights and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's my kind of thing. And I don't squirrel brain, but when you said Vietnam, I'm like, oh, I just watched Napoleon.
I tried to watch that Shogun, and there's like a lot of subtitles. Not that I don't read subtitles, but like
Do
I
you
just
when
couldn't
you
watch
watch
it.
TV, do you watch with subtitles?
Yeah, usually watch a movie. I'm big into movies. I watch a lot of movies, and I do watch a lot of Survivor. I have a Survivor podcast that I do every week. That's a reality TV show.
Oh,
Uh,
wait. It's different. You have a podcast about the show Survivor.
it's yeah, I'm on the podcast weekly. It's hosted by another like one of my business partners, Bree.
Mhm.
And we do it every week, and we've interviewed some Survivor winners, and yeah, so it's a fun time. It's just like a hobby kind of podcast. I've been a lifelong Survivor fan, so
Oh
it's
my
just
god.
kind of like a
Okay.
little yeah.
Do you like that rough and tugged like lifestyle of like I live like because I follow this guy on YouTube. It's called like the Outdoor Boys or
Sure.
something, and he like digs igloos and like makes like survivor stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do. I like the tropical island element. I like we're trying to move back to a tropical island. So I like that element of it. I like the politics of it, and I
Mm,
like it's interesting. You get to really learn about people on that show in a different way, right? And social dynamics and um I've just watched it ever since I was young. So like 20 years, 25 years, however long it's been, I've watched this show every single season since its inception.
oh my
And I
god.
just I
That's
love
like
it.
my mom with what used to be on The Amazing Race. We used to watch that.
I've always watched
Loved
Amazing Race
watching
too.
that.
Because it was right after Survivor. So it'd be Survivor and then right after is Amazing Race. It used to be that way. Now it's
Oh,
not anymore.
yeah, 'cause you know, like that. I know, like, whatchamacallit. It used to go Dr. Oz, Oprah, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy. That that was like
Mm.
the run for our like daytime television transitioning into the news. So it's funny that like you remember that. That's funny. All right,
I
so
back in the golden age, it was Survivor, The Office, and then Amazing Race. And I was like, whoa,
I
that's a long
was
time.
too young. I did not watch The Office until I was in my middle 20s.
Yeah, you said I was like in my 20s. I'm 31, dude. I'm like I'm a little bit up there. So, I
Ja,
mean,
you're
I'm just joking. I don't really care.
very early
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah, early 30s. So,
No,
but
carries
yeah,
well, carries well.
thanks.
So one of the
What
big
you were
things.
gonna say though? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one of the big things that we like to do before because we're running up on the thing, and I
What
don't
you
want
say?
to have to take
Mhm.
a lot of your time. Um, we've asked like, what would you give advice to like an upcoming
Yeah.
person? What would you tell yourself if you could go back in time?
Honestly, man, it's all God's plan. It's just so weird. It's like the allegory of like when Jesus is on the boat and he falls asleep and everybody starts doubting, and then all of a sudden he wakes up and he's like, "What are you guys worrying about? I told you everything would be fine."
Mhm.
You know, like I've had many, many miraculous breaks, many, man. Like I feel very lucky, but the caveat is that I've done it every day. I work every single day, massive action every day. Um, I probably should have charged more. I probably should have done a lot of different things, like charge more, productize better, but not a ton of regrets, man. Like things have just worked out for me. I feel very lucky for that, very blessed for that. And that it all had a reason. Like all these relationships, all these podcasts, all these things that I'm doing. A lot of people who are an entrepreneur, it can seem like it's for nothing. You do all of this work, you do all of this stuff, and it doesn't maybe reflect financially, but you are building something. If you're doing it in a smart way, it does accumulate. It does build something. It's not a zero sum gain. Like, it doesn't, all the work that you did doesn't disappear. It
Right.
does accumulate and it does. So I'm not Gary V, patience, but, I would just tell myself like, it's all going to be okay, dude. Cause there was a lot of times in there I had no clue what the path forward was. But I just had the things that I did that I thought were productive and were moving the ball forward. And I just had that work ethic of like, I'm going to do it every day until it works. And I'm not going to give up. And I don't care if the money is negative, and I don't care. I'm not going back to the 9 to 5. I'm going to see it through. Um, but I wish I could add my future something like, don't worry, this is all going to work out. And it's all part of the plan. But
Okay, so you'd be it's all part of, because sometimes I'm like, man, it's just when. You're just like,
when,
when,
when, yeah.
when.
Yes. That is such a yeah. And for me, it was 3.5 years working hard as hell, all the different meetings and all the different things, and meeting with Mary Sue from Timbuktu for no reason at all, just for the off chance that something might happen. So it's a slog, it's a grind. But it doesn't have to be that way. Some people get a lot luckier a lot earlier. So luck is such a huge component in business. Putting yourself in the right position, having the agreements and the ability to have big wins, setting yourself up for just the possibility of a big win, and trying to play a bigger game sooner, trying to find those opportunities. But I mean, my story really is like one connection, one thing, one person can change your life in a twinkling of an eye forever,
Absolutely.
so I really believe in that. And, yeah, you just never know where it will come from. It's usually very, very unexpected.
Oh, that was one of the better answers I think we've had to that question on the podcast. So before we officially have to get you out of here, one of the things we always say is shameless plug. Tell us about all of the events that you have. You run the Maxer community. Give us the spiel works.
If you're an online entrepreneur, if you're thinking about entrepreneurship or doing this, my story may seem familiar to yours. I help people just like me who were in my position, who have little to no to zero to negative dollars in their bank account. I provide a ton of free education online. I have a number of online events throughout the week that are totally free that you can come engage with people. I'll introduce you to our entire network. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that you can be introduced to very, very quickly. And try to make things very accessible for people. You can attest to that, Angelo. Like, I'm all about accessibility. When I was starting this online entrepreneur thing, nothing was accessible. Everything had a price tag, and yeah, it sucks. So I'm here to like provide that helping hand. I do sell stuff. I do have products. I promote mostly affiliate products. I'm directing people to good stuff. But you can just go to my website, which is my name, Alex Hitt, AlexHitt.com. Super simple. Just look up Alex Hitt online. You'll find me on social. You'll find my website, all that stuff. And everything that you need is on my website, which is alexhitt.com. Say it a couple more times, but yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And as always, guys, the information will be in the chat. All of his socials, you can find him all in the description below, in the bio, in the wherever you're on below. So that's what we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, Alex, and we will see you next time.